Hello and welcome to Ginger Prime. My name is Brian and today we're diving into my Final Fantasy XIV gear progression guide for the expansion Shadowbringers. Now, if for some reason you're watching this and Endwalker has dropped or perhaps some other future expansion has dropped and this is the video that YouTube recommends, check the top link in the description so you can jump to any updated guides around progression or anything related to Final Fantasy XIV in that matter. Now, before we dive in, if you are already a subscriber here, welcome back, Soul Nation. You are a magnificent beast. Thanks for coming and checking out this video. And if you have yet to subscribe, you can get free compliments and videos by just hitting that subscribe button and maybe that like button, but it's totally up to you. You can always unsubscribe later or you can always hit dislike. I only joke about that. It's just too much fun. Plus, anyway, I love Final Fantasy XIV, and having almost 5,000 hours into the game itself, I am very much excited for what the future of this game is going to bring. Now, it's not my intention to waste any time, so let's go ahead and dive into the guide. If you have any questions or any tips yourself, leave them in the comments below, and let's go ahead and get into it. Now, we're going to start here in Eulmore as you progress through the story, and this is a spoiler-free guide, by the way, so if you have not yet made it here, but you're just curious, don't worry, we're not talking spoilers at all whatsoever. But we're going to start here in Eulmore. You're going to find lots of different vendors to be able to interact with. Now, there's a couple of ways you can progress, and there's a couple of ways of things that you can get with your gear. So I think it's helpful if I start with our currencies. Now, you can see here by hitting start and going into my currency tab, I now have a lot of different things. Now, this is going to be focused completely around progression. So first and foremost, you'll see Tomestones of Poetics. You're going to start earning these around level 50. This is basically your currency for every expansion prior. So when Endwalker drops, you can pretty much bet that Poetics are going to be the main currency. You can use this to buy level 50 gear, level 60 gear, level 70 gear, and obviously with the new expansion, level 80 gear. But if you're in a current expansion, you'll have two alternating tomestones. First and foremost, you'll see Allegory in this case, and you'll also see Revelation. As an expansion progresses through its patch cycle within the World 14, these eventually get replaced, and by the time patch 0.4 rolls out for that current expansion, the tomestones are pretty much set. The Revelation in this case is going to have that weekly lockout of 450 tomes that you can earn per week, while Allegory is uncapped. You can earn as much as this as you need. You can also use this to buy other things outside of progression, but that will be for a future video on another day. So just note, I have these two different kinds of tomes. The other thing we actually have working out for us is you have concepts of crafted gear, and you have concepts of gear that you can get from various drops, like raids and or your tomes, so to speak. So if I actually switch over to my White Mage here real quick, you're going to see what I mean. So for my White Mage, I actually have been collecting my tome gear that is currently at 520. I'll show you how to upgrade that as well. But you can see here, I've already upgraded my weapon, my cane in this case, to 520 as well. And so crafted gear at the current level, the highest level crafted gear, the Exarch weapons, they can actually be upgraded from 510 to 520. So we're going to show you how to upgrade your weapons as well. Now, crafted gear, you're going to find that on the markets. I'll show you that a little bit later in this video in case you're curious. But for your regular like tomes gear, you actually get that here in Eulmore, if you will. And again, here in this case, you want to go and talk to a couple of vendors that you're going to see. We're actually going to talk to all three of these in this guide, but we'll start with our Tomestone Exchange. When you go talk to this guy, you'll actually get a couple of options. You'll see Allegory, again, the uncapped. You also see Allegory Other, so if you want to be able to pick up some merchandise and be able to sell that as necessary, you can do so. And you'll also see Revelation, so in this case, Disciple of Magic. And you can see here, I have a couple of options for things that I want to get. Currently, I have only two pieces on my left-hand side. That starts at the 520 mark. The other thing you also see is Other. This is going to come into play when you're upgrading your weapon. You're going to need 10 of these bad boys, aka 1,000 tomes, to be able to get the 10 tokens necessary, as well as another requirement. We'll jump into that in just in a minute. But anyway, so you'll see here just basically that I'm looking at 520 gear. This gear can actually be upgraded to 530 as well, and that's where I want to go to the gear exchange vendor, and this is where I'm going to look for the Crypt Lurker gear options. If you're not a caster, you're going to look at the Disciples of War 1 and 2, but as a caster in this case, I can go to here as well. So now, if let's say I wanted to pick up the Robe of Healing, you can see here now it's boosted to 530. You can see the increased stats that I have available. What it requires is a robe of 520, which I have, and in this case, a Crypt Twine. If you look at the various items that you need, you can see Crypt Twine, Crypt Dusting, and then if at the top of it, you'll actually see Crypt Ester, and these are for the weapons. So how do you actually acquire that? So first and foremost, you have the gear that you get from Amarark here, and then you have the various upgraded items that you can get here. There's two ways to go about it. First, let's go ahead and talk to Fathard here, and you're going to see Glorious Girgers. I can't read. I'm dyslexic. Don't judge me. And here you can see that you actually have various items that you want to be able to pick up. So we're going to focus in on Crypt Twine and Crypt Dusting in this case, because you can see here, you can acquire this via a Breach coin, a Puppets coin, and a manufactured coin. The manufactured and puppet coins, these are uncapped. You're going to get these from running through the Near raid. The first raid, the second raid, and then you have the Breach coin, which is the third raid, which just came out with patch 5.5. And you're going to get these on a once a week lockout. That's how you're going to be able to acquire all three of these to be able to grab yourself a Twine or a Dusting. You can also see and check out anything else that they have available for them as well if you need, etc. So just kind of play around with that. You can see previous upgraded items are also just taking in those things. So if you were specifically looking for a Deep Shadow Solvent, that's just going to be one manufactured coin. But just remember, you get that by completing the run of the dungeon itself as opposed to anything else. Anyway, so that's one way you can get your Twines and Dustings. Now the other way is to head out here to the Crystarium. If I pull up my menu or my map, you can actually see where I'm standing here in relation to the Aetheryte. But you'll see your nuts board. If you guys aren't doing your nuts hunts, these are great for just experience on themselves, but these also are going to feed you a currency, the nut currency. And from here, you can talk to Clan Nutsy member here, and you can actually talk about exchanging some of those items for various things. So if you guys look here at the Crypt Dusting and Crypt Trine, you're going to need 3,000 and 2,000 of that currency respectively. So just note that as you're leveling, you want to be able to do your nuts gathering, because you can actually use these to purchase the items as well. So these are uncapped outside of purchasing. So you just get your nuts, you buy as many, you can stock them up as needed, and that way you're not worried about a true weekly lockout if you've been saving up your nuts. If this is news to you and you haven't done this, note that you can pick up some dailies, you can pick up some weeklies, and then you can go on hunts for more nuts. But at the end of the day, like, it's going to be up to you how you choose to use your time accordingly. Okay, so now that we're back in Ulmor, that's great. That's all well and good for tome gear. But Brian, what about those crafted gear items that you showed me earlier on? Here you want to go to Hilson. This is Gear Exchange. There's a couple things you want to take note of. First, we're going to focus in on the top, or like the bottom levels. Actually, yeah, the top levels of regarding Augment and Exarch equipment, weapons, and you can see here the 520 pieces right here, right? So that's just under when you go to purchase your augmented Exarch equipment. That's left side, right side, any side. Let's get into the upgrade piece, because like obviously if I go to purchase it, you can see here when I just go to weapons, it's asking for some stuff. Like, what are these certificates of grandeur and what are these crystalline rains? So for the 520 to gear in this case, again, you have to back all the way out. Let's start with Rain Exchange. If you go to Rain Exchange, Crystalline Rain is going to run you 100 Allegory. Again, this is the uncapped tombstone. So when it comes down to it, things that reward Allegory are really good in this case, because you can purchase yourself, one Crystalline Rain for 100. Typically, you're going to see at least need 7 for each one. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill up on some Crystalline Rain just so I have some available for this demonstration. So with my Rain Exchange, now we're going to talk about earning your certificates of grandeur. Now, again, if I just jump in here to purchase, you can see here that it's going to take 42 certificates, and in this case, 7 Rain. That's great. I got the 7 Rain. I just purchased that. But what I want to do now is I want to talk about how you get those certificates. Now, be warned, like if I go here to earn regular certificates of grandeur, it's going to show that I have the weapon itself. This is actually a high quality. So if I go to like turn in for an exchange, it's like, hey, where's the weapon? And in this case, it's a high quality weapon that it's actually identifying that I have. I don't have a normal quality. And so don't turn in normal quality for high quality stuff. That would just be kind of a waste of tomes, but let me go, or certificates. So you want to select Earn or Million Certificates of Grandeur H Quality, HQ. And here I can go in and select, let's go ahead and pick on that Halgon, and I can say exchange. Now the nice thing about this system is that I don't need to upgrade the same thing. So I can sit here and take that gun and I can turn it into anything I want because now I have the certificates. But, you know, I love my machinist and I want to go ahead and keep him happy. So let me go and find my machinist weapon. And then I see that I have the 42 and the 7 reins. So let me go and purchase this in exchange. And I want to go and proceed with that transaction. I'm going to give them the tokens that I got here and the rein. Boom. And now I've acquired my handgun. Now, if I go ahead and switch back over to my machinist, it's like, hey, you want to use that 520 weapon that you just bought? And yes, I do. Obviously, I want to have the best weapon that I can possibly have equipped for the job at hand. So you'll notice there that I have now upgraded my weapon to 520 for my machinist by turning in my original high quality weapon. Now, if you're finding very cheap items on the market, you could end up easily buying those up and profiting. So let's just kind of focus in on my machinist here and take a look here. So if I just go to machinist arms and do a general search at level 80, you can see the different items that are listed on the market here on my server. So if I pick on XR's handgun, which is what they want to turn in, let me go ahead and adjust. There we go. You can see here high quality items starting in the 100K range. Let me just drag that so we can actually see all the different information. So I'm not seeing many normal qualities being listed, but note that that high quality goes for 42 items, and then you just pair that with your allegory to be upgrading that to that 520. So let's say if I wanted to pick on like any other job. So if you're actually doing some searches here, you can see here Exarch's longbow and see if anybody is actually selling any normal quality items which would be used to be able to pick up those 14. Now, if you can find any, I don't know if anybody actually has those as a part of making this, then you're going to note that you're going to have a couple things to check out. So just kind of be paying attention to market prices. Let's go take a look at armor. So if I just search Exarch's aiming, so you can see here armor prices are definitely going up as more people are returning. So it's a good idea, especially if you're watching this in the future, to keep an eye on pricing on markets. So that way you can sit here and if you find normal quality versions of those pieces of gear, you can actually stack up enough of those currencies to be able to actually get yourself high quality upgraded 520 pieces of gear. So that's going to wrap this up. There's a lot, obviously, that is hopefully this has given you direction as to where you can go. Again, if you have any comments or if you think that I missed anything where there's something that I could definitely communicate better for players, just let me know. I'm always open for feedback and critique as well here on the channel. But I'm going to wrap up this video. Thank you guys for being here. Hopefully you enjoyed. My name's Brian and this is Ginger Prime. I hope you have a great day and I hope to see you in my next one. But until then, take care. This video is sponsored by me, Ginger Prime. Hopefully you'll check out my podcast channel, Ginger Gaming Radio, which we have lots of guests, lots of great conversations, and even more highlights. Links are in the description below. Let me know what you think. Thanks.